Hi there, Cosmic Family. My name is Jehleal in this incarnation. Today, I wanted to leave a reflection on ego absolutisms because I think many times when we fall in these absolutisms is our ego disconnected, the part that is operating. And because this is very linked with the active discernment process, and discernment is energy of Virgo, we are in the month of Virgo. So I think active discernment is composed in a certain way by critical thought on one hand, and at the same time, I think it's very important to develop intuition. To allow the voice of intuition, to hear the voice of intuition, which is the voice of the soul. And to develop both things, this is a process, this is a process and it's linked with the path itself. And of course, in this process, we're going to make mistakes because we are human beings. I'm going to give an example with myself with this. And so I think it's very important, the active discernment. And I think discernment has not to do with getting rid of logic. I think this is about applying logic to newer levels of perception. For example, I could not believe in reincarnation. I could not believe, that the soul is an eternal energy. So maybe if I see a spirit, I am going to feel a lot of fear because I cannot comprehend that situation. But the fact that I am not understanding that, that doesn't mean that that situation doesn't exist or is a lie, So many times we don't understand things because our perception is limited, but that doesn't mean that that situation doesn't have a logic. So I think logic, it's not something that we don't have to put aside, This is about applying logic to newer levels. And this is happening in a global scale and in an individual experimentation. So let's go back to the discernment and the mistakes, because I did a video months ago, I don't remember when, in which I explained how we can detect spiritual cults or even people that seem to be spiritual, but they are doing that with other intentions. Maybe we could talk about psychopaths or narcissists. And I myself had experience with this. And this is because, I didn't mention which was the person, and I'm not going to do that, because I think if we had an experimentation with these people, it is because we had something to learn about ourselves. This returns the focus in our spiritual work. And why am I saying that? Because every time that we are practicing coherence with ourselves, coherence in thoughts and emotions and actions, and everybody that is actually doing this work will know that this is something that is constant, and that we are not maybe doing this right every time. And this is part of the process too. But the more we are practicing this coherence in ourselves, and the more we get deep in ourselves, we are more able to recognize incoherence outside, but this is because we are practicing this in ourselves. So many times when we are in this spiritual bypass and these things, we attract this kind of guides or people. And I think it's part of the process, is to show us the parts that are not in coherence, just for that. So this video is to reinforce the spiritual work, because finally discernment is linked with that, So I wanted to give other examples about absolutisms, just to understand how this is not going to help, and this is not going to collaborate in the process. And in fact, this is not about integration, For example, I talked about the programmation that happened in 2020, the pandemic, and I don't have people, I'm not following people from the health community of that are English speakers. I only follow people that are from here, from Argentina. I'm going to leave the names of them, but they are doctors. that had a lot of testimonies about secondary effects of the trick, So I think that was something that they did with a certain intention. And I think to put in an absolutism, for example, there's a lot of people that didn't give themselves the trick, but that thing doesn't make them awakening people, because you took one decision that maybe was aligned to your soul once. This doesn't mean that you are constantly practicing and doing your spiritual work. And I think this point is important because we could fall in an illusion of superiority, thinking that we are better than other people, and just to take one decision in your life that was aligned to your soul doesn't make you a better person. And in fact, to feel better or worse than other people is actually the ego disconnected operating. So I think it's very important to detect this and to not fall in this absolutism, not people that didn't give themselves the trick doesn't make them awakening people. And I think the awakening is something that is constant. We are discovering more and more and more about ourselves. So other example that I gave already is about Masons. We all know that there's a lot of these groups of people that, they are doing those things with those intentions, that many of them are psychopaths and etc. But I gave examples. In Argentina, there's, I'm going to put those names on the description too. But in Argentina, we had, certain Masons that actually did good things with light intentions, we could put it this way. And this person, for example, built an enormous prophetic monument, and that monument is very aligned with information, with things that are happening in these times. So I didn't do that video. I know that I mentioned this before because it's a very long video with a lot of information, and it takes time. So there's another example in Uruguay with Francisco Piria. So not all the Masons are psychopaths, and I don't think to fall in that absolutism. And not all of them, they are Satanists. So we really have to see and the coherence of the people, and to know how they are acting with others and with the society to detect from which intentions they are actually operating. I gave other example with politicians. I don't think that every politician is a bad person, but I do think from my perspective that many people enter in that kind of environments sometimes to do with good intentions, but I think there's some level of unconsciousness, because I don't think you can change anything from that system anymore. I think that system is totally made from distorted bases. So that's why I think we should abandon that system and create a new one from zero. That's my perspective. So not all of them are psychopaths or people with bad intentions. I gave an example of this in the video of economy, but I do think that that system doesn't work anymore, and that is very, very distorted. So psychopaths are other example that we cannot put in an absolutism, because many people says, for example, or could say that they can do not right, they cannot do good to other people. And from an outsider perspective, they can do good, but they are doing that with manipulative intentions. So yeah, from a higher perspective, they are not capable to do that from a place of love, But from an outsider perspective, they can do right in certain specific moments, but that is because that thing is going to serve them for their goals. So it's important to detect that. And finally, the last example that I could give, it's about communication media. There are many people saying that communication media is all a lie. And I do think there's a lot of information that is distorted, but there's other information that is not a lie actually, but they are showing you the things that they want you to focus on. And that is like a short perspective of reality. So internet and social media are communication media. So there's a lot of information that is very valuable, but that's why I think we should active our discernment, and that the discernment is totally linked with our own coherence. So the more we practice coherence in ourselves, the more we will able to recognize this on the outside. So again, I think that the spiritual process is the main thing in order to access to the truth, to the truth, to the inner truth. And I'm going to do a video talking about the truth, because I think truth actually is light. Okay, I am going to end the video here. Thank you everyone, and see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao.